All right, welcome back. Let's finish up these vocal chops. So we wrapped up our A B A C melody. We have it right here. So we're going to repeat that through the whole drop here. So we can go ahead, grab this. You can hit Command R, or you can Option click and drag. We want to double check that it's directly on the downbeat. It is, and the way you can obviously triple check, or if it's not obvious, go to your snap. Make sure that's on absolute value. There are reasons to have this on relative value. I use that a lot for vocals and other things, but absolute value right now. So check. Doo-doo-doo. So now we have this whole piece. We have the vocal chop repeating. So we're going to play this back real quick and we'll talk about what we're going to get into right after this. All right, you guys get the idea. So when this second part comes in, remember we talked about in the chord section, we start with our drop. We have all these instruments here. But then when we get to the second section, we just want to add a little bit more, something else. We don't want to hear the exact same thing repeated. So we added the screaming lead part. We added another choir octave. We're also going to add up here another section of the vocal chop. So we want to pair this up. So what we're going to do, we're going to create another track. We're going to call it low chop. So we got that painted gold. What we're going to do is go ahead, copy our high chop and just bring it down to our low chop channel. So now we have this in here. So the way this is going to come about is we're going to mess around with the plugin settings again. So in order to get it to sound like this, guys hear that back there? It's a layer. It's a layer that helps the vocal chop sit more in the mix. We have more power behind it. So we have the same exact thing. All we're going to do is mess with the processing. So this one's good. It's squared away. We want to go ahead and start with our vocal transformer. So same thing, we can leave some of the plugins on here. If you guys copied your high chop track, that's fine. We're just going to edit it a little bit. So first of all, we have our vocal transformer. Now, what I did differently for this one was I only pitched it up 12, but I played with the formant. So if we want to listen back, so plus 12 pitch, minus 24 formant, 100% wet. So that gives us that lower sound. It's 3 octaves, 1, 2, 3 octaves away from the high chop vocal. So that's our first step. So we have that on here. Next thing we're going to do is we have our EQ. Again, if you guys copied this track from your high chop, totally fine. This is at about 410 on this one. Maybe no reason why yet. Again, we'll get to mixing and we'll hone in on this stuff when we're ready. But 450 is going to do it for now. Pretty good. So we cut out that low end. Next thing we're going to do, I didn't put any distortion on this. Instead, I grabbed a chorus plugin. So go to your plugins, go to modulation, chorus, stereo. Bring this up. All right. So what exactly does a chorus plugin do? I pull this up for different reasons, for creative reasons, and sometimes for mixing reasons. You want to be careful with this because what this tends to do if you're not careful is if you need two of something because you want to make it wider and instead you have one of something and you use the chorus track, you still only have one track, but you're playing with the ear balance of it. So if we pull up Google real quick, because I cannot tell you guys this, a chorus plugin achieves subtle changes in pitch by modulating the delay time of the waveform with a low frequency oscillator, LFO. So you guys don't really have to know everything about what that means, but essentially what we're doing, this kind of works almost like a sample delay plugin, which we'll get into as well. But we're changing basically the signal as it comes through from the audio file. So we're making it sound almost like there's two of them. So if we just turn this mix off, or let's just turn the plugin off. Let's listen. So it's center. It's a mono track. Well, it's actually a stereo track, but it's recorded mono. Hopefully, most vocals should be in mono. And then we're going to play with these buttons here. So if we turn this on, we turn our mix down. You guys know what a mix knob is by now. This applies the amount of the effect to the plugin. So or to the audio from the plugin. So with a mix of 0, there's no change. But if we start to crank this, you guys can hear it go out to the side. We can play with the intensity. So these are my locked in parameters. This is what I wanted, but we'll still keep playing with it. So intensity. You guys can hear it start to choke out a little bit. So we'll bring it back down to 10. And then we have our rate. Super fast chorus effect. So any of you guitar players out there, if you have a chorus pedal, you're probably very familiar with this. This operates the exact same way. So I ended up with 0.5 at a rate, 10% intensity, 100% mix. So that gives us this wide. So together with the high chop, it gives us like in 3 different areas or in multiple areas, we just get this enveloping, if that's a word, kind of sound. So the next thing we're going to do, grab our delay plugin, our stereo delay. And as far as I can see, this is not different from our leads. So we can copy and paste that from either the lead or the high chop. Same delay. Chroma verb, we're going to stack that on the end here. And we do have it changed a little bit. So I pulled the wet down to 20% and I pulled the decay back to 2.2. So in Chroma verb, this is actually the exact same reverb we have on the lead vocal. So you guys can copy and paste that from here. So 2.2 decay, 20% wet. So altogether, we get cool. And then with our high chop, cool. So that adds more flavoring to the second half of the drop. So the other thing we're going to use this is our layer in the second half of the drop. We're actually going to take this, we're going to copy it, we're going to stick it in our buildup. We're going to put it right here. So what this does for us is when we get to this build section, this kind of something new is about to happen. We hear that low chop, which is not as obtrusive or in your face as the high chop, but it lets you know that this sound is coming. So prepare yourself kind of feeling. So if we listen back, all I did was copy and paste this right here. In the light, in the dark, you're my witness all my life. All my life. All my life. All my life. Very nice. So that way when the drop hits, if I haven't explained it well enough, you're not blown away. You're not like what just happened to me type of feeling. So it's in there. All right, so we got that guy in there. I know you see another track down here, low chop center. We'll talk about that when we get to this section of the music. So we'll go ahead, keep this a short video, and we'll move on to FX after this, which is our last section of the song. And then we'll be prepared to wrap up the rest of the song here. So good job.